It's that time of year again. The 2020 models are being released. Honda strikes first, followed closely by Can-Am. Let's dive into and see what we've got for the new model year.
Another Chupacabra sighting.
What's happening? Nick Olson, Chupacabra, Offroad. Today we're talking 2020 models, first Hondas and then some Can-Am. So let's get right into Honda. Live valve, turbo, four-seater. All exciting phrases I was happy to hear when I heard Honda announce some new vehicles. I also thought it was pretty cool that they did do another launch. You know, the Talon is, the original Talon two-seater just launched a few months ago. If you've been watching the channel, we were invited out by Honda to go drive the Talon R and the X model. We'll link below if you want to go ahead and check that out. But either way, excited to see that Honda comes to market with the four-seater. First off, it's a little weird that they only did the X model, not the R. Being in the Southwest, I know a lot of potential customers would have rather had the R, but still happy to see more new model releases. So Honda comes with two different models, a four-seat version and then a four-seat version with the Fox live valve suspension. You guys remember the first Fox live valve dynamics that came out? I was with Polaris when that happened. It was really exciting technology. I got to drive it a few times out in Minnesota and then as well as Glamis. I really like it. I'm excited to own this technology on my next side-by-side in the future. When Polaris did launch it, they did tell me that they only had a 2-year exclusivity deal, which now makes sense because Honda has it. So all in all, I think this technology is really cool. I like the different modes. One of the videos on our channel, we went and did the Arizona Peace Trail, and I was thinking I'd love to have a comfort mode when we're going slow on the rocks and then stiffen it up. I thought the stiff mode was pretty stiff when I drove it in some regular wooded terrain in Minnesota, but then in the stiff performance mode in Glamis worked really well when you're going fast in softer terrain. So kudos to Honda for introducing this cool technology. Now it's not just Polaris. I think it's cool. I think it's part of the future. I think most OEMs will have this on their higher end models, just like a lot of high-end cars do. I also like the wheelbase. It's 116.4, which is within a half an inch of Polaris's four-seat wheelbase. I really love the Polaris four-seat wheelbase, so I think this is a great move. So good job on that, Honda. So there's a lot of chatter online. A lot of people don't like how the roll cage looks because of the stadium seating in the rear. Kind of looks like an old Razor 900, which I agree, it's not a very good looking cage. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't think stadium seating is something that people want or what OEM machines should offer, mainly because when I'm out, I very rarely see any of these machines with 4 adults in them. I think it's something that sounds good on paper. People would say they like that in a focus group, but in the real world, people have little kids in the back or no one at all. So Honda, to their credit, did try to make the ingress and egress as good as possible to accommodate large adults, which is cool. But I think for us in the Southwest, we'd rather have the rear seats low with a cooler, lower cage design. You know, luckily we've got a ton of aftermarket guys who are gonna rip that thing off and make some really cool designs here once they hit the market. One other thing on the Talon I didn't like is it's still got just a 28-inch tire, so not much ground clearance. We are just talking about the X model. That's not necessarily their wide, long travel car for the Southwest, so it's not gonna be as big of a deal. I would definitely put 30-inch tires on it if I owned one, get more ground clearance in most all riding conditions. The X model handled really well. It's probably gonna handle really well and stay really flat, so good release. Good to see Honda coming out with more models, and then they released a Honda racing photo, which this got everybody on the internet really fired up. Every account on Instagram posted this. Ton of great reaction. The car looks amazing, even though it's probably not a real car. It looks just like a rendering to me. But the real news is that Honda's going racing. For all of us wannabe Ricky racers like myself, most everyone's not going to race, but it's exciting that they are going racing. That means they're going to evolve these cars, higher performance. It's going to affect the customer on the showroom. Polaris and Can-Am have already proven this time and time again. So kudos to Honda for going racing. Excited to see one at some of these big events they've announced, like the Baja 1000, King of the Hammers, Mid 400, and so on. So we're all going to be drooling, anticipating those cars in real life and seeing what they can do and see how they hold up. Another big OEM that knows how to race. They know how to build really quality stuff. And now we've got another 4-seat option in the marketplace without a CVT that you can shift. Very cool. Good job, Honda. Let's keep it moving with some bigger tires and some high horsepower. One last piece on Honda. little bit of turbo news. So Honda also announced a turbo, kind of. You can buy one for $5,800. The turbo is made from a company named Garrett, and this turbo is going to bump the horsepower from about 104-ish up to 165 on 91 octane. Doesn't require much modification, which is really cool. Will maintain the factory warranty, which is also really cool. And the thing I heard that I really liked was the ECU Tuning associated can also change the shift points to accommodate a 32-inch tire. As you guys know, I'm all about 32-inch tires. This is great. Maybe this means there will be some other ECU tuning options where a non-turbo customer can change some shift points to accommodate 32s. That's really exciting as a potential Talon owner myself. Love hearing that news. The downside is not many people real world are gonna go spend $5,800 on the turbo when you've got Can-Am and Polaris already pushing out some big horsepower. Speaking of big horsepower, let's talk Can-Am 2020 release. So I love Can-Am's willingness to throw out some of the biggest horsepower vehicles in all of power sports. They're raising the bar again. Pretty impressive from 172 last year. It's a lot of horsepower. My buddy's X3 is a stage 3 tuned car push. I've driven a stage 3 tuned Evo X3 and around 200 horse, and they flat out rip. I mean, it's borderline scary in my opinion for a two-seater. So I thought 172 was really good. Man, 195, it's definitely gonna haul the mail. It's gonna be awesome for the 4-seat model. Go anywhere in most of the dune environments, and of course we all know there's a lot of tuning options to really bump that up even more. So I think the XRC edition is awesome if you love the color scheme, you like all the accessories, you're into some rock crawling. You got the factory warranty with 32-inch tires, a low range transmission, smart lock of course, but I think the hot seller is going to be the X3 XRS Turbo R. Can-Am, you guys are killing us with these model names. This is very difficult. This is the most confusing model name release of all time. But 22.5, 72 inches wide, 172 horse. This is gonna be a great platform car. It's got a real 4-wheel drive and we've got a nice chassis. Now, real quick, that is a great price point, but these shocks are the QS3s. They are not the high and low speed compression, rebound adjustable shocks on the SxS model or last year's model, but still, either one of these vehicles, in my opinion, you should send the shocks in, get new spring, shock therapy, any tuner of your choice. The QS3, I've heard great results when these have been sprung and re-valved. So if you're not a real geek and know much about suspension, need to have too many clickers, this is a great value, and I think Can-Am really hit a home run with the 2-seat and the 4-seat model. I think if I was a dealer, I'd be ordering heavy on that unit. It's got a great neutral colorway everybody loves, black, silver, and red, and I think that's gonna be one of the most popular 2020 models you're gonna see this season. It's also nice to see Can-Am drop the price on a few of their other models. Here in the Southwest, most Can-Am customers, most dealers are only selling 72-inch wide, but it's good that they have a little bit lower entry level on the 120 horsepower model price point. So that's great to see when an OEM can drop some prices. With Polaris being the only other OEM that matches up so closely with all the different model types, it's really gonna force Polaris's hand to also be aggressive with their pricing strategy. So Polaris, the ball's in your court. Can-Am has shown their hand, so really excited to see what Polaris is gonna come out with. And in my opinion, I think Can-Am did an amazing job. You've got more models to choose from. You've got different price points. You've got a $3,000 cheaper value 72-inch option compared to the Polaris Turbo S Velocity. Man, I'd probably go with the X3 today based on current price points. So to be fair, let's wait and see what Polaris does for their 2020 release, which should be in about another month or so. But like the new colorways, a couple new Lone Star accessories. They did beef up the roll cage, which is nice to hear some structural enhancements. It's no secret that a lot of people have issues with the front ends. Everyone immediately will beef up the bulkhead on these vehicles. They will go through the chassis and even weld up some structural enhancements, some gussets. One really nice feature too is Can-Am now has a roll cage that will bolt off. So I liked seeing that. It's a lot easier for those of us that are gonna upgrade to a cage anyway. You know, Can-Am's always one on the showroom floor with fit and finish. It's cool to see them make their little display screen even bigger and easier to use. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and we've got more great content coming your way.